for Statham, you know, like, that's a really talented action-oriented guy. You know, like, you go back and you watch, like, The Transporter. That's amazing. Some of the stuff that's in that movie is incredible. Like, with the grease there, and the bike and everything. Or look at Crank. Crank is such an awesome movie. Heck, Crank 2 is a great movie.
Yeah, Death Race.
Yeah.
That's a remake that works. What were you saying?
So, yeah, it's just, it just feels like if you're not, it feels like in this day and age, if you're not a superhero, then you're on the back burner. Then,
yeah.
You know, they don't want you. Unless, you know, you're doing some art house drama piece, then they don't want you. Or unless you're doing like a Paul Feig comedy, then they don't want you. You know, it's also like a certain select group of people have taken over Hollywood, and if you're not in that clique, then your film's not going to be a success.
It's like their criteria is, okay, you have to look good, and we have to make sure we can CGI your body.
Yeah.
And shit. And that's nothing against, it's not a smear on comic book films, because there have been comic book films that I liked. But at the same time, we have to acknowledge the downfall and the deterioration of the action genre.
Yeah.
Because there's no action stars to take that mantle, because, like I said before, they've taken out that human element, that human connection.
Yeah.
And you take that out, and you just got this very stagnant spinning of the wheels genre. And I say it's on life support. To me, the action genre is in a coma, and I don't think it's gonna come out anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think it will ever be what it was. You know, I think in like 20, 30 years, they're gonna start looking at history and being like, okay, you know, every decade has its certain look to it. You can kind of see it now, you know. Like, we look back at films from like the 70s and the 80s, and even going into the 90s. I think like the 90s, the end of the 90s is kind of like that blurring line, where everything after that kind of, I don't know, it's almost like, it's like the music industry, how it's all like very much porn-esque. And I don't mean that as saying like sexualized. I mean, it's just that everything's reused and recycled so much that we don't have the individualized look that we used to have in cinema. Like, if you go back to the 80s and everything had a different look, you know, like Lethal Weapon had a certain look to it. Rambo had a certain look to it. Heck, Rocky had its own look to it. Everything had its own look, and now we're in this place where everything action-oriented, it kind of looks the same. You know, everything kind of feels the same. It doesn't, it just doesn't register on that level of individualism as it used to. And I don't think we'll ever get it back.
No, it's just, I think, like I said, I just think it's in a coma, and it's gonna stay in a coma. And people are gonna disagree. That's fine, but there's definitely been a downfall, and it's sad. I mean, while we can still have guys like Stallone and Arnold that are still there and they're still hanging in there, and Harrison Ford, Van Damme, Dolph, Chuck Norris still doing this thing, but these guys are not going to be around forever, and this future is scary.
Yeah, and it's a warning. It's a warning to people too, because I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. Once we lose those guys, that's it. You know, we'll never have them back, right? So they should be utilizing them now. They should be giving us, you know, their full potential now.
I agree.
Yeah, when it's over, it's over. There's no more, you know. If time has shown us anything, it's that you'll never underestimate time. Look at Christopher Reeve, you know, amazing actor. Superman, top of his game. and no one foresaw what happened to him coming. You know, no one foresaw that, you know, we'd lose Christopher Reeve the way that we did.
Yeah, it's just, that's the guy I wish was still around.
Yeah.
But, man, that's a great question, and thank you, Rambo for Life, for the questions.
Thank you.
Please go check out his channel. Matt is a great guy, great friend. I guess we can shift over to the next page.
Alrighty.
We got a few questions on the teasers.
Alright.
We can start off with Wild Man Beyond. Another great guy up here, great friend, and I think at some point we're going to see him back.
Oh yeah.
So, can't wait to see you again, Wild Man. Question, what are your thoughts on the Punisher spinoff, and do you agree it is the perfect time for the Punisher to return after all this bullshitty political correctness going on? When we talked about the renegade cops, we can answer that question first, because I think he's got like 5 in 1 questions.
Okay. What I like about this new Punisher, even though they drag him out a bit, like I wasn't too fond of the dragging him out, but I guess, you know, they have to do the 3rd season, right? And they have to do the Punisher spinoff, right? So that I can see why they're spreading him out the way they did. But what I love about this new Punisher is he goes after the bad guys that we want to see the Punisher go after. You know, he goes after, like, the child abductors and, you know, the bad gangsters, like the guys, the lowest of the low. And that's what I love about this Punisher. He takes his licks. He's not superhuman. He gets his face bashed up. He's like, there's hardly an episode where his face isn't fucking destroyed. He's just like the balls to the walls. You know, he's going after the bad guy, and even if he knows he's gonna lose, he's still gonna do it anyway. I love that.
Yeah, like I said, I've only seen the 1st season of Daredevil. I know that the Punisher comes back in the 2nd season. John Bernthal, he's not a bad actor. I don't know if I don't have the curiosity there to watch this Punisher, because I'll be honest, you know, like, so many people have shit on Thomas Jane, and, you know, now we're gonna lead to this. I mean, but I'm sure at some point I will watch it, and yes, it's kind of refreshing to see, because, you know, we deal with all this kind of political correctness going on, and now we get a Punisher, and now we're getting a Punisher series on Netflix.
Yeah.
So it's cool in a way that this character's coming back slowly. And I like I said, at some point I'll give it a watch, and I'll be fair. So until I get my Netflix back, because my trial ran out. But yeah, I mean, I hope that this is kind of I'm not going to say it's going to be the catalyst, but kind of like the beginnings of, you know, getting back to these characters, like we talked about, you know, with the last question, Matt asked us about the action genre, you know, return of these, you know, great characters and that deserve better.
Yeah.
Like the Punisher.
Yeah. And I just love the way that there's the one scene that kind of sold me on this Punisher. Because at first I was kind of standoffish. I was like, I don't know. You know, but then I think what sold me about it was he had that humanism underneath him. Like there's a scene where they go after the bad guys and everything, and they're all fucked up. Him and Daredevil are all fucked up at the end. And they're sitting in the graveyard, and he starts telling Daredevil about, like I went to pick up my daughter, and there was meat where her face used to be. Like you could see his whole psychologically broken side of him. It brought me back to the end of First Blood, actually, listening to him give that speech. But just stuff like that, like they're going places with him where they didn't go with the other ones. And even though Thomas Jane will always be my Punisher, I really love what they're setting up with this guy, with John Bernthal. And if I have any complaint about it, it's just that they stretched him out for that series. But then again, the series is Daredevil. It wasn't Punisher yet, right? So when we get the Punisher series, maybe it will be a little more fast paced. I'm hoping so, but so far no complaints. Because he's not there yet, but he's on his way there, you know.
And like I said, at some point I'll give it a watch. The next question he asked, have you watched Supergirl? It's really good.
I've seen the pilot.
What you think?
I didn't mind it.
Not me. I don't know. I just don't have a lot of interest there to watch Supergirl because of shows like The Flash that I gave a shot and I didn't like. I gave Arrow a chance. I couldn't get into it. I'm just kind of. I need a break from superheroes on TV.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like I watched it because it was out, and I don't know. Like, you know, eventually I'll probably watch it again. When the season drops, I'll watch like the whole season one shot just to see. But my brain got kind of scrambled with that whole DC thing, like what they're doing with the Flash and
like an EMP.
Yeah, it was kind of like they were going in too many directions for me to focus on where to start. Like I only started watching Gotham like 2 months ago.
I'm talking about Dawn of Justice.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, that scrambled my brain even more. Like that was this is your brain on Dawn of Justice. You know. Exactly.
Like some eggs.
Yeah. I really would have liked it if they would have tried to do like what Marvel did with putting them together. But whereas now with DC, I don't want to see any more of the movies. At least they still have that curiosity for the television shows. But mind you, my attention span's very short now after being let down so many times. So I waited so long. I only just started watching Gotham 2 months ago, so
that's a good show.
I like it. I don't mind it. It has its, at first I was like, okay, I didn't know if I was gonna be able to do it, but I liked it. Flash, I got to Gorilla Grodd, and I stopped watching at Gorilla Grodd. I might pick it up later on, but for me right now, I guess I'll see where Gotham goes, and if I can get my brain in there, then I'll do it. But I think another thing is that I work on videos a lot, so I don't really get to watch TV, and we don't have TV anyway, so if I want to watch something, I have to watch it online or at my family's house or whatever, or at a friend's house. So that takes a big thing out of it too.
All right.
I usually don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, I don't either. Like I said, I don't have TV in here, so it's hard to keep up with shows.
Yeah.
But the next question he asks, do you think Ben Affleck should proceed as Batman? Are you guys okay? That's one question.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that because I know he's doing a Batman solo film, and that's the only good thing to me that came out of Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, definitely.
So I look forward to it. I hope he does. I hope the studios let him do what he has to do. Let him direct.
Here's a bold statement. I hope he saves that universe.
I hope so too. Away from Zack Snyder, because I think Zack Snyder. I think at some point, I know we'll talk about him a little bit later, but I think he's going to become the death of DC. Yeah,
if Ben Affleck can save DC from these evil clutches of Zack Snyder, he will be the best Batman of all time.